Day 207. No excuses, 2024. I had a bit of a, so some people that I grew up with, some closer than others, but people that I considered friends or / acquaintances ever since the Trump attempted assassination, have been posting some very incendiary comments, like, you had one job, or, next time, take, practice, or whatever the fuck it is, right? And like some way worse than that, okay? And I went to these things, and there was a lot of comments on them, so I'm going through and reading them, and I'm like, oof, some fucking rough takes, right? And then the person who made the post, like, making it, talking even more smack inside the thing. And, I believe in freedom of speech. Say whatever you want to say, right? But those same people, today I went, because I was like, oh man, I want to see what other comments are on these posts, so I go look for the thing in my, because you get a notification when there's a comment. I go in there, and so I hit on the thing, and I can't find any of the posts, right? So I go to their pages, can't find the posts. And, then you go into their bios, right? Like, I know where most of them live and this and that. I'm not trying to dox anybody or anything like that. But I go into their bios and I notice where they work is no longer listed, right? Where they live is no longer listed. But I mean, you can go to their check-ins and you can tell exactly where they live, and sometimes even where they work, because there'll be a lot of check-ins at that spot. It happens automatically on these devices. But anyway, so, and I don't think that they took down the post, right? Because, they were like, oh man, that was bad, and then they had like this aha moment, like, oh, I shouldn't be promoting that. It's just not a good look, blah, 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 right? But what I've noticed over the last several days is a lot of people have been getting repercussions for some of their comments, right? So they're getting fired from their jobs. Now, mind you, the vast majority of these people that say these things, that have been saying these things, are employees. Okay? When you're an employee, you got to be careful sometimes of the shit that you say, right? But I had people come at me in the comments like, I've seen you say the same type of shit in the past. And I'm like, yes, you are correct. That's why I'm here. I'm giving you a warning. I'm not trying to chastise anybody. I'm just giving you a warning, right? See, the thing about me is I'm a barber. I have my own shop, right? I gain clients, I lose clients. Sometimes you say something politically and you lose a client, right? I mean, I've had people just because, like, I don't support the current thing and this and that, and I started being more suspicious about stuff, and and started questioning the narratives, and people don't like that, and I try to show them the proof, and they're like, I don't need to see it, and I'm like, but you do, because you keep telling a lie. But anyway, these people who've gone through and now cleansed out their Facebook feeds and their Instagrams and this and that, right? Take off their workplace. They were the same people that were screaming from the rooftops about removing people for like Donald Trump or Alex Jones off of Twitter because of things that they said, right? They're the same people that were championing people getting doxxed and fired from their jobs for, what might be perceived racism, or maybe straight out racism, but freedom of speech, right? And they were the same people that were saying, you do have freedom of speech, but there's no freedom of consequences. And, again, a lot of these people are either, on disability or something like that, right? Or they're employees. Now, you might have an employer who freaking loves everything you have to say, right? They might agree with your comment about the shoot or missed or whatever the hell it is, right? But once they're inundated with calls and emails and complaints and asks, talking about resignation and boycotts, and, they might go a month with zero profits and just being able to pay, payroll. Maybe they'll go 2 months. But how long are they going to support you like that, right? How long is the bottom line going to be worth it to hold you on as an employee, because you're not the employer. You know, most of you people work, well, a lot of people work state-funded facilities, federally funded this or that, and you say these things, and again, you know, a few years ago, I was right there with you, man. You know, and I had to take a deep dive into my memories on Facebook, and, you know, and there's still stuff that comes up that's atrocious, you know. And I'm not saying that you can't say what you want to say. You can't feel the way you want to feel. But there are consequences, you know. And the consequences that I suffered from them, you know, was being unhealthy of mind, body, and spirit, you know. And so I was more easily able to spew these things about people, you know. And, you know, I still detest most of our government, most of our politicians, and, you know, all that stuff, and you know, the CIA, the FBI, war, you know. But I try to think about, like, you know, the whole aspect of it. How is this making me, how am I perceived by saying this, right? And I can tell just by looking at my old stuff that it's not good, because if I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh man, you know, why would you say that? Why would you know what I mean? Like, how can you champion that? You know, when I look back on it now, right? Hindsight's 20/20. I'm just trying to give people a warning, you know, like think about stuff first, you know? I mean, we all post funny stuff and, you know, on either side of the political spectrum, that's fine, you know, but really, you know, wishing death upon people and this and that because you disagree with them, I don't think that that's where we want to be as a people, you know. I don't think that that's where you and I want to be as a person. I know I don't, you know. I'm still learning, you know. I'm still figuring it out. I still make some rude comments here and there, and, you know, but I do try to change my behavior daily, and I try to, you know, reach out to people and apologize, you know, and a lot of people have been gracious enough to accept those apologies. And, you know, I realize, you know, where a lot of the stuff was coming from, you know, and I know everybody hates to hear it, but that mainstream media narrative, man, you know, that whole like, oh, we're opposed to the system, this and that, and, you know, blah, 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 but they're the system. You know, the system can't maintain without your participation. You know, just be careful, man. Like I said, you know, there's freedom of speech, but there's no freedom of repercussions, right? And ask yourself before you hit post, are you an employer or an employee? Just saying.